Hi Huskies, hi Bulldogs. Today we're going to read a story called Dr. DeSoto, right? Now this is a silly story about two mice and they are dentists. What does the dentist do? Do you remember? A dentist is a special doctor that helps with your teeth, right? So these are some mice, and it's a silly story because mice don't really talk. Mice don't really fix people's teeth, but that's what happens in this story. And there's no cover on this book, so I wanted to show you this page right here. This is like the cover page. Okay. Huskies read this story a long time ago. Might be new for the Bulldogs. Dr. DeSoto, the dentist, did very good work, so he had no end of patients. Those close to his own size, like moles, chipmunks, etc., sat in the regular dentist chair. Larger animals sat on the floor while Dr. DeSoto stood on a ladder. So that's a really, really tall pig, much bigger than the mouse. Dr. DeSoto climbs the ladder and fixes their teeth. For extra large animals, he has a special room. There, Dr. DeSoto was hoisted up to the patient's mouth by his assistant, who also happened to be his wife. His wife is a dentist too. She hoists him up. She pulls on the rope to hoist him up, to lift him up really high into the big animals' mouths. Dr. DeSoto was especially popular with the big animals. He was able to work inside their mouths wearing rubbers to keep his feet dry, and his fingers were so delicate, very small. His fingers were so delicate and his drill so dainty, a very small little drill, that the animals could hardly feel any pain. He could work in such a small spot that the animals hardly felt any pain. Being a mouse, Dr. DeSoto refused to treat animals that are dangerous to mice, and it said so on his sign. He refuses to treat dangerous animals. The sign says, "Cats and other dangerous animals not accepted for treatment." If those animals come, he will not accept them into his house because it's not safe for a mouse to be around a cat or another dangerous animal for a mouse. When the doorbell rang, he and his wife would look out the window, and they wouldn't admit even the most timid-looking cat. Even if a cat was really shy and timid, they were like, "That's not safe. We're mice. That cat might try to eat us. That cat's a predator." One day, when they looked out, they saw a well-dressed fox with a flannel bandage around his jaw. The jaw right there. "I cannot treat you, sir," Dr. DeSoto shouted. "Sir, haven't you read my sign?" Remember the sign? The sign says cats and other dangerous animals are not accepted for treatment. And a fox is another predator. "Please," the fox wailed. "Have mercy, I'm suffering." And he wept so bitterly that it was painful to see. I think they're feeling some empathy for the fox because the fox is in pain. The fox's mouth hurts. So the mice are feeling some empathy. "Just a moment," said the doctor. "That poor fox," he said to his wife. "What shall we do?" "Let's risk it," said Mrs. DeSoto. She pressed the buzzer and she let the fox in. What do you think is going to happen? He was up the stairs in a flash. "Bless your little hearts," he cried, falling to his knees. "I beg you, do something. My tooth is killing me." "Sit on the floor, please, sir," said Dr. DeSoto, "and remove the bandage." Dr. DeSoto climbed up the ladder and bravely entered the fox's mouth. "Ow!" he gasped. The fox had a rotten bicuspid and unusually bad breath. A bicuspid is one of your teeth, and his tooth is rotten. "Just stop the pain," whimpered the fox, wiping some tears away. Despite his misery, he's feeling miserable. He has a lot of misery right now. Despite his misery, he realized that he had a tasty little morsel in his mouth, and his jaws began to quiver. "Keep open," yelled the doctor. "Wide open," said his wife. Even though they're helping him, the fox still realizes that mouse would taste good. "I'm giving you gas now," said Dr. DeSoto. "You won't feel a thing when I yank that tooth." Gas is a special kind of medicine that they can give. It's a special gas medicine that they can breathe. The fox will breathe it, and it will make the fox go to sleep. It will sedate the fox so that it's sleeping. Soon the fox was in dreamland. He's asleep. He's having dreams. Yummy," he mumbled. "How I love them raw, with just a pinch of salt and a dry white wine." He's thinking about eating something. They could guess what he was dreaming about. Mrs. DeSoto handed her husband a pole to keep the fox's mouth open. Putting a pole in there to keep the fox's mouth open so it doesn't close and eat the mouse. Dr. DeSoto fastened his extractor to the bad tooth. Then he and his wife began turning the winch. They're turning this to pull up. Finally, with a sucking sound, the tooth popped out and hung, swaying in the air. They pulled the bad tooth out. They used this pulley, pulled on this rope, and pulled that rope up. "I'm bleeding," the fox yelped when he woke up. Dr. DeSoto ran up the ladder and stuffed some gauze into the hole. It's like a special bandage that you can put in your mouth. "The worst is over," he said. "I'll have your new tooth ready tomorrow. Be here at 11 o'clock sharp. Just don't be late. Be here at 11 o'clock. The fox, still woozy, said goodbye and left. On his way home, he wondered if it would be shabby of him to eat the DeSotos when the job was done. He's thinking about eating them. After office hours, Mrs. DeSoto molded a tooth of pure gold and polished it. That's going to be the new tooth for the fox. "Raw with salt indeed," muttered Dr. DeSoto. "How foolish to trust a fox." "Oh, he didn't know what he was saying," said Mrs. DeSoto. "Why should he harm us? We're helping him." "Because he's a fox," said Dr. DeSoto. "They're wicked, wicked creatures." Dr. DeSoto doesn't trust the fox. That night the DeSotos lay awake worrying. "Should we let him in tomorrow?" Mrs. DeSoto wondered. "Once I start a job," said the dentist, "I finish it. My father was the same way." "But we must do something to protect ourselves," said his wife. They talked and talked until they formed a plan. "I think it will work," said Dr. DeSoto. A minute later, he was snoring. That means he's sleeping really deep. They have a plan. What do you think their plan is? How are they going to keep themselves safe from the fox? Let's find out. The next morning, promptly at 11 o'clock, a very cheerful fox returned. He was feeling not a particle of pain. No pain at all now. He feels fine. When Dr. DeSoto got into his mouth, he snapped it shut for a moment, and then he opened it wide and laughed. "Ha ha ha, just a joke," he chortled. Be serious, said the doctor sharply. We have work to do. His wife was lugging the heavy tooth up the ladder. There she has the new tooth. Sometimes people, when they lose a tooth, they will get a new tooth that's made out of gold. Not kids, though. When you guys lose your teeth, you have new teeth that grow in. Grown-ups don't get new teeth anymore. Oh, I love it, exclaimed the fox. It's just beautiful. He's got his new tooth in there. Dr. DeSoto set the gold tooth in its socket and hooked it up to the teeth on both sides. The fox caressed the new tooth with his tongue. Watch, if this is my tooth, I can caress it with my tongue. Like that. My, it feels so good, he thought. I really shouldn't eat them. On the other hand, how can I resist? He knows that he shouldn't eat them, but he's having a hard time with self-control. He should do the right thing, even though he wants to eat them. He's thinking, I shouldn't eat them, but he might do it anyway. We're not finished, said Dr. DeSoto, holding up a large jug. He's got a jug right there. I have here a remarkable preparation developed only recently by my wife and me. With just one application, you can be rid of toothaches forever. No more toothaches. Would you like to be the first one to receive this unique treatment? Would you want to put something on your mouth that made it so you never had a toothache ever again? I think that would be pretty good. I certainly would, the fox declared. I'd be honored. He hated any kind of pain. You will never have to see us again, said Dr. DeSoto. The fox thought, no one will see you again. He had decided that he was going to eat them with the help of his new tooth. Dr. DeSoto stepped into the fox's mouth with a bucket of secret formula and proceeded to paint each tooth. He hummed as he worked. Mrs. DeSoto stood by on the ladder, pointing out spots that he had missed. The fox looked very happy. He's painting on the fox's teeth, the special formula. When the dentist was done, he stepped out. Now, close your jaws tight, he said, and keep them closed for a full minute. The fox did as he was told. Then he tried to open his mouth, but his teeth were stuck together. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I should have mentioned, said the doctor. You won't be able to open your mouth for a day or two. The secret formula must first permeate the dentine, but don't worry, no pain ever again. The fox was stunned. He stared at Dr. DeSoto. Then he stared at his wife. They just smiled and waited. All he could do was say, "Thank you very much." He tried to say thank you very much, but his mouth is closed, so he had to say, "Thank you very much," like that. And then he got up and left. He tried to do so with dignity. Then he stumbled down the stairs in a daze. Dr. DeSoto and his assistant had outfoxed the fox. They tricked the fox. Usually the fox plays tricks, but the mice played a trick on the fox. They kissed each other and they took the rest of the day off. So look, they told the fox that this was a special formula to make it so his teeth would never hurt again. But was it really a special formula? It was glue. They were like, you know what? If we make it so the fox can't open his mouth, then he can't eat us. Let's tell him this is a special formula, and then he will have his mouth glued shut so that he can't eat us anymore. They tricked the fox. The end. All right, I have a question for you for your journals today. When you draw a journal picture today, I want you to think about a job that you think it would be fun to have when you're a grown-up. The mice are dentists. That's their job. They take care of people's teeth. When you grow up, what kind of job would you like to have? Right? Draw us a picture. You want to send it to us. We would love to see your picture. And don't forget to write a word to tell us what your picture is of. All right? Bye, Huskies. Bye, Bulldogs. We'll see you soon.